Hey, hello and welcome. We are Anton and Martin from SweDnD.
And if you enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more D&D goodness. Today we're here to tell you about our top 5 first level spells in D&D 5e. We have looked at the expansive list of spells and ranked them all, well, most of them. We all made our respective top 5 lists, and then together we came up with the final list that we will give to you now.
If you're interested to see what we think, stay tuned. Number 5 on our list of top 5 first level spells in D&D 5e is Healing Word. Healing Word is bonus action healing. What else needs to be said? It's the clutchiest of the clutch and as close to a must-have as you can get.
Absolutely. When you see your friend fall unconscious on the battlefield, you can just shout a word and they will be right back up to join the fight. And even after that, you still have another non-spell action to use on your turn. That's efficient.
I find it in the games that we have played, every character that has access to Healing Word always has it prepared, and that must say something.
Exactly. All in all, Healing Word is a pretty incredible spell, but it does just one thing. It does it very well, but that's not quite enough to earn it a higher spot on this list. Number 4 on our list is Bless, a rather typical spell for a cleric or perhaps a paladin. It boosts most of your party with an extra d4 on those crucial attack rolls and saving throws. If we get into the math side of things, the average on a d4 is a 2.5. So if, say, 4 people use a d4 each on each of their turns, that's a total of plus 10 for an entire round. That is pretty significant. And that's just for one round. Imagine if Bless stays up for 3, 4, 5 rounds.
Yeah, Bless is one of the few spells that I have considered upcasting several times, to include more of my allies to gain the benefits of it. And if you include yourself as a target of the spell, that boosts your constitution saving throws, which increases your chances of keeping the spell up even if you take damage. This spell has so many synergies and works so good with itself. I recently ran an encounter with a Bodak, and I can say that Bless would have been a god-given for this guy and the rest of our friends in that encounter.
In short, as a simple first level spell, Bless can still mean the difference between life and death, even for a high level party. That's why it's so good.
Number 3 on our list is Fairy Fire, which is one of the only tools to use at low level versus invisible enemies.
I remember a moment from our campaign when the party managed to expose a ghost that was haunting their house by using Fairy Fire. The ability to expose invisible enemies is very useful even as a high-level spellcaster. And as Fairy Fire is a first-level spell, it's basically free for a more high-level spellcaster.
Fairy Fire is an area of effect spell that forces everyone in the spell's area to make dexterity saving throws. If they fail their saving throw, they light up with a colored light of your choosing, usually purple or blue, I think we have been playing with. But let your imagination go wild. While the target is glowing, you have advantage on all attacks made against them, and that's good against just one enemy. If you hit 2, 3 or more, that's just amazing for a first level spell.
Imagine the possibilities. Your rogue being able to get sneak attack from anywhere. Your fighter getting in those important crits when you need them the most.
And if you're playing a paladin, fishing for those crits to use your divine smites, Fairy Fire is your best friend.
Number 2, the runner-up on our list, is Disguise Self. This spell is an excellent tool for infiltration, deception, and maybe to shift the blame if things go south.
And Disguise Self is also a great tool to gain access to off-limits locations.
One thing I like about this spell is that you can let your imagination run wild, as long as what you're trying to transform into is, almost your size. You can look any way you want. You can look like yourself in different clothing or like someone else entirely.
Yeah, you don't even have to describe the person you're imitating. You will become a perfect replica of someone you have seen or met.
That can be very useful if you're not all that keen on describing someone.
If you're using this spell, just make sure you have the charisma to back up your change of looks.
Or let someone else do the talking for you. And finally, before we get to our number 1 pick, some honorable mentions. For me, I would have to say Featherfall.
That's a great spell, but I would have to say Shield. That's a clutch spell.
And let's not forget about the classic Magic Missile that can't miss.
So, our number 1 pick for best first level spell in D&D 5e is Find Familiar. Maybe not a big surprise to a lot of you.
In fact, you could make an entire video just talking about Find Familiar. It has that many different applications.
It really is a great spell, and I can't understate how useful it has been in some of our campaigns.
There are specific class features that can change the way the spell works, such as the Warlock's Pact of the Chain feature. But even the vanilla spell itself is very good.
The Find Familiar spell lets you summon a familiar in the form of a small animal, and this animal basically becomes your sidekick. It's great for role-playing scenarios, and it's cute as can be.
The possibilities are basically endless. If you need a flying scout but you're too level to have access to the fly spell, turn your familiar into a sparrow and fly over that pesky wall. And if you're caught in a fight and need some help, send in your familiar to give you advantage on that critical attack roll.
Yeah, the familiar's possibility to use the help action in combat and to also help out of combat basically gives you advantage on a lot of different things your DM might not think you should have.
And let's not forget, the Find Familiar spell is a ritual spell, which means that you can cast it without expending a spell slot, provided you're the right class, of course.
And if you have the materials needed for the ritual.
And finally, if your poor familiar happens to be in the way of a fireball or an errant spear, you can just summon it back at the drop of a hat.
So this has been our thoughts on the best first level spells in D&D 5e. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe.
And please, let us know which are your favorite level 1 spells in the comments down below.